Welcome back. You know, if this show wasn't called Mountain Views, it probably could be called like the Creative Arty Show, brought to you by Terry, because even though we discuss ideas and concepts and issues and topics of importance, we also just like to be creative and arty around here. And this evening, I'm welcoming for the first time to the program an artist who hails from Salt Lake City, at least in her recent vintage, and we'll be having a show this weekend, and I'm not sure I'll get a confirmation on my terminology exhibition. We'll find out about all of that. There are some beautiful large format paintings, and I'm very pleased to welcome to the show Ms. Eva Okrent. How are you?
Hi.
Nice to see you.
Me.
You bet, you bet. So big week.
Yes, very big week.
Doing the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is this, you know what, I'm gonna wait because I'm so excited about the outdoor setting and all of that stuff that I'm gonna get ahead of myself in interview format. But talk a little bit, if you would, about your creative life, and of course, within the realm of visual art, there are so many different kinds of media. Talk about your choice of painting, about your materials, etc.
Okay. Well, I grew up in New Jersey, and that's really where I started. So in high school, had a really good art program, and just started off the whole process. I ended up going to college in Vermont and studying classical style art. So nothing like on the computer, no visual,
right,
things like that.
Not
so
graphic design.
No graphic design. I am completely computer illiterate. It's a downfall in some senses, but yeah, very classical portraits and life drawings and all of those kinds of things. So
all the developmental processes that you go through.
Yeah, how to mix, the study of light, very kind of heady classes. It's Vermont.
Right.
And I was also, while I was in college, an outdoor guide. So I was guiding whitewater kayaking trips, I was a rock climbing guide, and adaptive recreation. And that's kind of what brought me out west. So I came out west, I was guiding, I did wilderness therapy for a long time, and I didn't make any art. And
no kidding, no art.
Nothing.
And was that something that you considered deeply, or was it just like, I'm just not in the mood right now, I'm doing my work thing, and that's enough?
It was kind of, I was definitely full on in guiding. I wanted to just like have adventures, do what I could. But I also thought of myself a little bit as a copy machine, like, okay, I'll do a portrait commission and I'll make it look photorealistic and perfect, but it wasn't really satisfying. Like, I would do those things and then go back on trail and have a great time in the woods and then come back. But when I ended my guiding, I started working at Solitude, teaching ski lessons,
awesome
had a great season, tore my ACL closing day last run.
Ooh.
And that's really when this project was born, I'd say. So I was totally like in recovery, had surgery, couldn't move, couldn't go outside. It was really tough. And I was painting again. I had all these canvases. In fact, this is one of the ones that I had. But I was just painting these like black and red, really abstract, like really dark color fields. And not really for any like, oh, I'm sad, so I'm painting black, but it was just like, this is what I'm doing, I'm painting, and like, it feels good to paint again. But I was like really bummed for the whole summer. I couldn't do anything.
Yeah, sure, that's tough.
Yeah, so I went back east to visit family, was gardening a lot, and started taking photos of flowers, and just was like in love with it. Like, oh yes, I miss gardening. I miss having this connection to being outside again. I can bend my knee, I can walk, it's good. So when I came back to Utah, I painted one of the flowers that I had taken. And that was this like really big change for me. Even my roommate is like, oh, you must be happy now. Like, you're painting flowers. It's not these dark black color fields. And yeah, it was a great transition.
I want to go back to something that you said, because I've always been sort of fascinated by this concept, and the person that I think of is Picasso. When you said painting commissions, portraits, photorealism, but you found it unfulfilling, and of course, for somebody who has a hard time drawing an X with any level of legibility, to me, to think, oh wow, you could draw, or life drawing or paint in a realistic manner is like, wow, I would be doing that all the time, and yet, like one of the greats, you didn't find satisfaction in that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, all of my friends know too, I draw them constantly, or if I'm in an airport, I'll be drawing someone until they notice, and then I'll close my book, not be a creep. But yeah, there was just something that was like, I like the life of a person. I like seeing when I do a portrait, and I really do like portraits, it's kind of an ego-fulfilling painting. Like, you make something that looks so much like the person it's supposed to look like, but it's still not them. And I don't know, they can't go in everyone's houses. They're not that versatile. Not everybody wants some random person looking at them all the time.
Right.
And I didn't want that either. I was like, oh, there's too many faces looking back at me. And so when I started painting the flowers, it was the same kind of life. Like, each flower really has its own story, its own thing to say, and it comes alive at a certain point in the process, and it really like takes shape and has growth. And when there's a wall covered with flowers, I don't mind them all looking back at me.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well said.
Thanks.
Let's take a break, and I want to talk a little bit about your technique, and if myself and all the other laymen out there can understand what you're talking about. And of course, we have to talk about the big show this weekend.
Yes.
Excellent. Hey, you guys, we're going to take a quick break. More with Eva Okrent right after this. Please stay tuned, because I love you. Welcome back. We are talking visual art with my guest, who is making her first, but hopefully not her last appearance on Park City Television, visual artist Eva Okrent. Welcome back.
Hello.
Hello. If we can, let's talk a little bit about kind of how you translate what you see. In the case of the flowers, obviously you have a representation, but I imagine there's some sort of translation that takes place that maybe I imagine to be something like being fluent in 2 languages and translating and kind of how that process goes.
I would say that when it starts, it's really like theory of light and how colors are next to each other bouncing off. It's really academic, the way that I look at
Really?
anything, really. Like, when I'm focusing to recreate it, either as a drawing or as a painting, then it's like the balance of how things meet. What lines are next to each other, what colors, what colors are next to each other. And what's great about painting with a palette knife is I have a complete lack of control sometimes, because I never really know if it's going to happen the way that it will. With a paintbrush, it's really basic. It's like everything that happens is calculated. You can just kind of make it happen. I guess it's muscle memory.
Sure.
And with a palette knife, depending on how you scoop the paint off your palette and kind of slap it on and scrape it off and brush it across, it's unpredictable. And so that adds another element of just fun for these paintings too. But really, it's mixing colors that I see in my reference, matching them as close as I can, adding warmth, adding like cool tones, and then pairing them next to each other.
So, are you in now? You spoke about this period where you weren't painting at all. Do you foresee that you'll have that kind of a cyclical experience in your painting life, or are you in for good now?
I think I'm like in a flow that I hope doesn't end anytime soon. So the past 6 months are really when most of these paintings happened. I was working like 6 days a week, 2 jobs, and all of my time off just painting until as late as I could stay up, and then waking up early and going again before work, and missing tons of social events, and all of my friends hated me, and all of these things.
But what a really, I mean, again, as a non-artist to hear that, and I suppose I could liken it maybe to songwriting, but to hear that passion of, man, I'm in it, I just can't create enough. Like, how exciting and how cool must that be?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's such a good feeling to really like need to create. It went from more of like, okay, I have to do this, I have to make this show happen, like as a motivation, kind of external. And it transitioned into like, okay, today I have to do this, and then I'll do that, and hopefully I'll have this painting done, and what's my next one gonna be? And I'm always looking for that next image, and I'm still really stuck on flowers. I think into my next series, I'm already looking at new flowers to make and new ways to make the images, if I want to do macro zoom again, if I want to pull them far away, or what that'll look like. But yeah, I think it's part of my habit now.
So the process is continuing. Very cool. So let's talk about your show / exhibition / blank for the proper term.
I don't know the proper term either. When this show came to be, a good friend of mine whose house it's actually going to be at was like, you need to have an art show. And in my mind I thought, I don't want to deal with galleries. I don't want to have to put my work into someone else's space and make it work for them. I wanted control over the whole situation.
And that makes sense.
Yeah. And so I thought, okay, guiding's really important to me. I like being outside. Nature's really important. The environment's really important. The show has to be outside.
That's cool.
So it's going to be the 18th on Saturday from 2 to 7 at Timberlake's Estates. And yeah, it's all outside. It's in an aspen grove.
Wow.
Everything is sustainable too. There won't be any garbage waste. We have cloth napkins and all reusable cups, and everything that's going to be provided will be able to be washed and put away, and hopefully there's going to be no waste. So
very cool.
Yeah.
And on some level that adds a beauty to the creative expression.
And I also think the show is inconvenient. It's far away from everyone in Salt Lake. You have to really want to go. And I think that makes it a really special occasion too, because I've put a lot of work into it and a lot of just time and energy, and now that all of my family is coming out and I've got friends from out of town and people from Salt Lake that I know and hopefully people that I don't know coming, like the drive there is just as beautiful, I think, as when you're actually in this space. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Again, there's a congruence there.
Exactly.
To that. Very cool. Eva, congratulations.
Thank you.
It's so nice to meet you. Tell folks where to go social media-wise to find out more about you, the show, and all of your work.
So my website is eva.crevado, CREVADO.com.
Okay.
And all of the show information is on the website. The driving directions are there. And also my Instagram at Eva Okrent has information.
Very cool. Yeah. And your Instagram feed is really cool. I definitely encourage everybody to follow your Insta. It's super sweet.
Thank you.
So nice to meet you.
You too.
Best wishes for a wonderful show, and I'll hope to see you on Saturday.
Yeah, hope to see you there.
All right. Okay, you guys, let's take a break. Make sure to find out more about Eva Okrent online. Meet me at the show. We'll be there. Little weather after the break, and then lots more music from Rhythm Junction. Please stay tuned.